Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I'm finishing my video or my series on top 20 favorite movies of the 1960s that I've been doing. So I just got 5 more movies, my top 5 of the 1960s to talk about. Then I'll be done with that decade and can move on to the next one, the 1950s. Also, I'll be doing a video on ranking the best pictures of the 1960s. Anyway, so yeah, this top 5, incredible top 5. One of them, I mean, all of them are just absolute, classics for sure. Movies that I watch over and over again every year. Very, very strong top 5 as far as top 5s goes. Top 5s are usually pretty good every decade, but these are definitely ones I've always enjoyed growing up watching. Number 5, I got probably one of the best thrillers of the time period, Psycho, by the famous Alfred Hitchcock, the master of thrillers. Um, Psycho is a movie I remember watching as a kid and just being blown away by it. Of course, the shower scene, obviously the most iconic scene in the movie, still is captivating even today. What surprised me about watching Psycho, of course, it's made in 1960. I mean, 1960. We're barely getting into the 60s here, and this is doing things that no other movie has ever done. I mean, talking about someone with like multiple personalities who dresses up as a woman and kills people. I mean, dealing with some really dark themes here that aren't really usually you look at this time period. I mean, 1960, you're talking about a lot of family-friendly movies. I mean, you're talking about there is no rating system at this point. You don't have. It's not until the late 60s that you start getting the more risque movies like The Graduate or uh, uh, more violent movies and so forth. And Midnight Cowboy, 1969, and I'm forgetting the name of the movie now. I'm thinking Bonnie and Clyde. Really violent for its time period. Stuff like that. But here in 1960, we're not getting those kind of movies. We're getting very, like I said, movies that you can go see with your family. This is definitely like not a movie you would see with your family, I would think, at that time period. I mean, touching on serial killers and so forth in this one, and that shower scene is absolutely like even today, like I said, that's just a great scene. I mean, even though I know it's coming, I can see the shadow of the murderer going in to stab, and then how it cuts between him stabbing her and her screaming and falling down with the eyes open. I mean, it's such a creepy scene and moment. Still incredibly shot by Alfred Hitchcock and wonderfully made. But when I got this movie, it says that it's rated R, and I remember I got this and I was like rated R, it can't be rated R. It was made in 1960. There was no R rating, so I mean at that time I don't think there was a rating. I don't believe. I don't know. I didn't think of it as an R movie, maybe PG-13 or something, because that shower scene. But yeah, but I bought the movie and it's now rated R, so they must have retroactive made it R because it was too much. The violence or whatever, the themes were enough to make it R. I wouldn't think yeah, like I said, it's not that bad to be an R rated, but anyways, but that just says that this was groundbreaking for its time. And I remember watching it as a kid and being blown away, like I said, and that shower scene, but also the hallway scene where he stabs the PI and he falls downstairs is still an incredible scene that really shocks you. And all the way to the end, Anthony Perkins gives a great performance. I mean, I love his performance as Norman Bates, as this guy who's kind of to himself, kind of a nice guy, seems like, but he's a little awkward, socially awkward. Um, and he of course has this something behind him that's really dark. And I love how Janet Leigh is kind of the main character. Of course, it's this famous, she's the main character, and it's all about her. The first like 20 minutes is all about her, and all of a sudden, or 30 minutes, and then you get to the Bates Motel, and all of a sudden the whole movie changes. The whole theme of the movie changes. The whole plot changes. I mean, that's just a crazy thing to do. So far into the movie, all of a sudden everything just totally changes. Whatever you saw in the first 30 minutes almost doesn't matter because now it's about Norman Bates and his psycho and him being a psycho, as it's called. Um, Anyway, so yeah, so still to me today works really well as a great thriller. Definitely my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie of all time. Anyways, Psycho at number 5 on my list. Number 4, another great classic, To Kill a Mockingbird, with Gregory Peck there as Atticus Finch, uh, kind of the main, not really main character. I think the scout, whatever, his daughter's kind of the main character. We see everything through her eyes, but he's definitely the most iconic character of the movie and the one you think about the most. Of course, this is a famous book. If you're like me, I had to read it in high school. I think everybody I ever talked to had to read this book in high school, which is, I guess it was an okay book. I only read it one time when I was a freshman, so it's been over 20 years. So it's a decent book, I guess, but really made really well to a movie made in 1962. Kind of a slice of life of Southern living in the South, and of course during a lot of racism going on during this time period, and we had this whole Atticus Finch, the father of these two kids, raising these two kids as a lawyer, and he takes on this trial of a black man who's accused of raping this woman, and he takes on even though there's like no way he can win, even though it's obvious that he's innocent, he can't win because he's black, and we're in a really racist society here in the South, and so he has no chance. And to even take up the lawyer and present him and try to defend him is putting him and his family's life in danger. Because he might get attacked for trying to help a black person, and so he's really taking a lot of risk. But yet he feels so into justice and that this man should have justice, that he was innocent and should not be punished for it, that he takes on the case. What I love about this movie the most, I grew up watching this, of course, was always a fan, but that trial scene is one of the best trial scenes I've seen in a movie, and I love trial scenes, and the back and forth of the lawyers and judges and the witnesses and on the stand, and of course the witnesses all gave these really great emotional performances, and it's quite obvious that what's going on. The father's abusing the daughter, and they're trying to find scapegoats, so they make it out to be this black man who's helping them. I forget his name on top of my mind, but anyways, it's obvious what's going on. But I just love that last speech by Atticus Finch about he kind of gives this speech about it doesn't matter who you are, we're all equal under the law. That's why he's a lawyer. The law, I think he said something about the law is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't matter who you are, color, skin, what you believe in, we're all equal. If either you're innocent or you're guilty, and it doesn't matter who you are. Anyway, so I just love that last scene of him giving that speech, and such a great standout character, a moral character who is very good and fights for what's right. And that's what really makes the movie such a great, heartwarming movie. And of course, Gregory Peck gives one of the great performances, won Best Actor for it. I know it was voted in as like an AFI's top 100 heroes. He was the number one hero, or his top 50 heroes, top 50 villains, and he was number one on the heroes list because he's fighting for equality and all that. So yeah, so definitely a great movie. You should definitely check out To Kill a Mockingbird at number 4. Number 3, the only one Blu-ray I don't have at the moment, is a comedy, comedy called Dr. Strangelove. It's also called Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped Worrying and Learned to Love the Bomb, I think is the full title. But I just call it Dr. Strangelove because it's such a long title the other way. This one came out in 1964, directed by Stanley Kubrick, who didn't do a lot of comedies. He did a lot of kind of, a lot of weird movies, really pushed the boundaries, what can be done. And this is a satirical comedy, I guess call it satire, about what if we have nuclear bombs, what if somebody gives the code to, someone goes kind of crazy within the military, orders a bombing of Russia, which would cause Russia then to bomb us, and the destruction that would destroy both countries. And Of course, this is during the Cold War. We're really scared of Russia, getting into a Cold War, getting to World War III or whatever. And now we got nukes, so now we can really destroy everybody and destroy our whole existence. But yeah, done in a comedic way of them figuring out that this has happened, and now they have to get together and try to figure out how to stop it and talk to the Russia prime minister, and tell them what's going on. Anyways, and yeah, it's a very serious topic, but yet the way they do it is so funny. We got Peter Sellers playing three different characters. Really great performance from Peter Sellers. I'm not a big Peter Sellers fan. Like, I'm not a fan of Pink Panthers. I don't think they're that funny, but he is absolutely hilarious. So this is one movie I'll say Peter Sellers is as good as advertised. He's got the Drake, the British officer, trying to figure out the code to stop the planes from attacking Russia. And you got the president, Murphy, I think his name is, American. And then you have, of course, at the end, you get Dr. Strangelove, the name of the character, which is this German, like, former Nazi, like, scientist who's expert, I guess, at nuclear fallout and stuff. And he's got this outrageous German accent. And my Führer, I can walk. I love his whole character. It's absolutely hilarious. That's probably my favorite. It's Dr. Strangelove. I love all three different characters. You wouldn't even know it's Peter Sellers. He totally changes in each three characters, and of course he's different nationalities. He's British in one, American in one, and then German in the other one. So I love the different accents that he does. Of course he's British, so he doesn't do accent there, but he does the American accent, and then he does the German accent. Absolutely hilarious. The last part, he keeps having to stop one hand he can't control for some reason. He keeps giving like the Nazi salute, and he has to try to stop his hand from doing that. Just great physical comedy work from Peter Sellers. I just love the whole idea of the film and just how they found comedy in such a serious topic. And I love Murphy, the president, talking to we only hear the one-sided conversation in the war room about him talking to, you can't hear the other side of the Russian prime minister, but he's, oh, we did a funny thing. A funny thing happened, and he's trying to explain to him this horrible thing that's happening. Absolutely hilarious. George C. Scott he's like one of the main generals in charge, and he's absolutely hilarious. And George C. Scott's not a comedic actor normally, but he's absolutely hilarious in this movie as well. Definitely one of the great comedies of this period. That's why I got it number 3, Dr. Strangelove. I say, oh yeah, the famous line, one of my favorites. What are you doing? You can't fight. There's no fighting in the war room. One of the great lines there. Number 2, another great sci-fi film, I would say, Planet of the Apes, from 1968, starring Charlton Heston as a kind of astronaut that goes into the future and finds this planet. It's full of apes that can walk and talk like humans, have gained human intelligence basically, that run this planet. And humans are dumb and can't talk, and so he comes to society, and so they capture him, and he's trying to escape, and he's trying to prove to them that humans can be intelligent too. Anyway, so this is kind of this like racism because he's human, like the apes are being racist towards him, and all this. And it's just great sci-fi fun movie. Charlton Heston as the main character, astronaut. Great performance, so many great lines and deliveries of lines. He's just one of the best guys when it comes to delivering lines. It's a madhouse, that, and get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape. Great line in the very end, damn you all to hell, as he punches the sand. It's overly dramatic, just incredible scenes all throughout. Charlton Heston, it's one of my favorite actors, and it's a strange storyline, but it totally works, and the ape outfits still totally work. They're incredible. Like, even today, I watch that movie, I totally buy that they're apes, even though it's obvious they're people in ape outfits, costumes, but the costumes are so good, even for 1968. John Chambers, who did it, won a special Oscar I mean, one of the best costumings I've ever seen, I think, in a movie. Still love how they interact with the apes, um, and it's kind of frightening when you first see them. In fact, I just love how they reveal the apes, and yeah, it's quite it was shocking to me as a kid, and I still watch it, of course, and I still go, man, they've done such a good job with the costuming. I love it almost as much as I like just I almost like costuming like that better than I like CGI, because when I watch a CGI character, I just think, oh, it's not real, it's a computer. But someone in costume, I go, oh, that looks real because it's a real person, even though it's a costume. Anyways, that's my opinion on that. But yeah, just one of my favorite sci-fi movies. And twist ending, I won't give it away exactly, but that ending, I mean, just totally blew me away. I remember first time watching it and kind of trying to figure out what does this mean, and then realizing what it meant. And still watching, just absolutely love that last scene of the movie. So number two, I got Planet of the Apes. I was gonna say, like the top three movies, I really had a hard time figuring out which one should be number one. And I even put like Doctor Strangelove in number one because I thought that was maybe my favorite movie. But then I kept thinking about it, and these top three all could be number one on my list. I mean, they're all some of my favorite movies of all time. Doctor Strangelove, Planet of the Apes, but I eventually went with this movie for number one. My one said and done, Cool Hand Luke, there starring Paul Newman, is my favorite movie of the 1960s. Like I said, it's very close, but this is one I've watched so many times, and I still absolutely love it. And it's like trying to explain why do I love it so much. Part of it is Paul Newman is so great. I think my favorite Paul Newman performance. I mean, he's got this great charm about him. You just can't help but not like him. This Luke character and Paul Newman. Of course, Paul Newman is one of the all-time great actors, and he's just charms everybody. It's so likable of a character. He's in he goes to a prison. What do you call it? A chain gang. Where they have to work the fields, and they have to live in this. Out in this house together and get up and go work in the hot sun all day. And it looks like really horrible work. And the bosses, the warden, are just absolutely terrible people that are very abusive to the prisoners. In real life, that was true. Like, it was a horrible, chain gangs were really horrible ordeals that should not have happened. They were way too cruel to the prisoners. But it's him in the prison and him not conforming to the rules. Of course, he's in prison, so there's these rules that they put on them, and they take away your freedom, of course, because you're in prison, which obviously that's what the whole purpose of prison is. But I mean, they're definitely more abusive than they should be, and Paul Newman's not going to, Luke, I should say, is not going to take it, won't conform. They cannot chain him mentally. They can chain him physically, but like, I love this idea, like, I'm still free in my mind kind of thing. And he ends up actually escaping a couple of times during the movie, in fact, which is very hard to do. And even if no matter how much they abuse him, he still won't give in. And I just love that about the character. Like, he never gives in. He never quits, never gives up. And that's why I love about how he comes into this prison the new guy, George Kennedy, plays Dragline. He's like the biggest, toughest prisoner. He kind of runs the prison. He kind of has it out for Luke, and he wants to beat him up. But then, like I said, because Luke was such a kind of this charming, likable character, that he turns Dragline around to liking him, becoming like his best friend. And after that, everybody totally accepts him into the prison, and he almost kind of starts running things. Everybody kind of, looks to him. And he has kind of the ideas and stuff to help them. Anyways, and so I just love that about the character, how he turns the whole prison around towards him. Anyways, and so many great scenes to talk about. I don't have enough time to talk about here, but I'll do a review at some point of the movie and talk more about my favorite scenes and stuff. But I just love this kind of. It kind of reminds me of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Kind of this, it kind of reminds me of that kind of character who kind of comes in and will not, give in to the man, I guess, and will not, give up his freedom inside the prison. I mean, he's in prison, but yet there's some freedom that you're allowed, even when you're in prison, or in that other movie, Insane Asylum, whatever. So I love that about I love those kind of movies where the character will not give up that freedom. Anyway, so that's why I absolutely love this movie. Uh, I say it's a drama with some comedic elements to it, and just some great performances. And yeah, just definitely have to check out Cool Hand Luke. One of the great lines. What we got here is a failure to communicate. One of the all great lines in there. A lot of great lines in there. In fact, I love. One guy says, it's my, I'm sorry, I have to do this. It's my job. And Luke says, just because it's job doesn't mean it's right. So there's a lot of great lines in there. Anyway, so yeah, so Cool and Luke #1. So that's my top 5 and top 20 of the 1960s. So please comment what you think about these top 5 or what in top 60, or tell me what your favorite movies are in the 1960s. Love to hear all that or see the comments and discuss that. Anyway, so I'll be next. I'll be going to rank the best pictures of the 1960s, and then I'll move on to the 1950s. Anyways, I plan on doing this all the way to the 1930s. It's kind of the last decade. I can kind of really give my opinion on the movies and so forth of that decade. Anyway, so thank you for watching the video and for liking it, and thank you to all the subscribers for being there for me, and I just really appreciate you. Have a good day.